This PGA Championship Picks edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is offering plenty of markets this week for the PGA Championship that you can't find anywhere else. Sign up with SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN.
Hey, what's up, you degenerate gamblers? This is Bill Burr, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, baby.
Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, second the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
Ciao.
Kramer has his Seaman scarf on. Of course, the Milano Seaman, his European football team, the one that John Gruden went to.
Long.
I look
Cox.
very European right
Yes, very European. You got your I mean, you got to be doing the Italian fingers, Ryan.
now. Well,
Tommy
I'm gonna
DeVito.
save it for the funeral. DeVito might be on his
Oh,
way.
no.
out. Yeah.
Well, Drew Lock, Daniel Jones. It's getting to be a crowded quarterback.
Nathan Rourke is the problem.
Nathan Rourke is there. Oh man, PGA Championship is here, and man, we got a great show planned for you. A lot of stuff to get into, and of course, we will be Ryan. Big events this week. We also got the Preakness. Preakness is right around the corner. Of course, if you haven't signed up already, go to NairaBets.com/SGPN 200. Bet the second jewel of the Triple Crown with Naira Bets time today for a $200 deposit bonus with code SGPN 200. They got so many bonuses. You can get them all over at NairaBets.com/SGPN 200. Ryan, the bonus bets I procured from the Kentucky Derby already in my account. Cannot wait to bet those in a fun manner, in a responsible, entertainment-filled manner when we do our Preakness podcast right around the corner later on this week.
A winning matter.
A winning manner. Joining us on the line, Ryan, fellow Drew Lock fan, I assume, and one of the hosts of the Golf Gambling Podcast, Mr. Steve Schirmer. Steve, how are we feeling?
Oh, feeling pretty good. And listen, I mean, if you give me the choice between Daniel Jones and Drew Lock, I mean, I would take probably a piece of turd at that point, over Daniel Jones. So, listen, Drew Lock can definitely, he's got a cannon. Let's see if he can actually read a playbook. Maybe a new coach can kind of bring him along a little better what happened in Denver. But I'm excited for maybe a replacement, a 1 year replacement. Maybe he can give us a little bit of a Geno Smith-esque type performance for the Giants this year. To maybe give us a few more wins.
Yeah. Am I supposed to be scared when like Steve's best case scenario is, maybe we luck out and he's a Geno Smith type?
I don't think Geno's ever played with Malik Neighbors.
That is true. That
see
is
what
true.
I'm doing? I'm getting loose. The teams are warming up. I'm warming up too. These takes are going to be fire.
The takes will be laser.
Listen,
yes.
Daniel Jones has never played with this kind of receiving talent.
No, he hasn't.
And this offensive line talent.
Well, and it will be
All in
interesting to
one.
see if Daniel Jones plays. Maybe a QB controversy.
I don't need Steve's realistic output.
We broke down the starting quarterback market as part of our NFL Futures offseason podcast. Make sure you go back and listen to that. A lot of fun. But enough talking other sports. We're here to talk golf, talking a little PGA Championship. A lot of storylines to get to
in Kentucky, first of all.
Yes, in Kentucky.
Who knew they played golf?
Yeah, they love golf down in Kentucky. I think the course is Valhalla.
Ooh.
Which reminds me of Mad Max.
Yeah.
Is that
the afterlife also?
Yes,
Vikings,
Valhalla. Yes. Very, very fun name of the course, but And we can talk course in just a second. I think we have to talk almost breaking news. Rory McIlroy, the news broke that he is getting a divorce, and you put it out there. I think in our Slack or in Discord, I forget, that the last time Rory went through a major breakup was 2014, and he won the. So it was the. Did he win the PGA Championship then?
Valhalla.
Right at Valhalla, right?
Yeah, so back in 2014, he was dating Karolyn Wozniacki, the Polish tennis star,
yes.
and they ended pretty publicly. But listen, you never want to root for anybody to get divorced. It's always hard for the family. They got young kids. His ex-wife now is actually from Rochester, my hometown, and so that's we're really devastated up here that Rory probably will never come back to one of our.
You never know. I might go back, get a garbage plate, visit one, check out some local wings places for old time's sake. Now, immediately in the back of my head, I thought, hey, he's as an athlete, as guy, maybe he's wagered a bit. There's got to be something in the back of your head that said like, hey, last time I went through a breakup, I went on and won the PGA Championship at Valhalla. Like, come on, do you think that was part of his reasoning, Steve?
I mean, it's kind of odd that he ended up having
the
something
timing's so perfect.
Well, he ended up winning last week, having something good happen, and then he files for divorce that night. But obviously, that probably has been a couple weeks in the works. They had a prenup agreement. There obviously was probably got the lawyers involved to make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. So, and coincidentally enough, he's won twice in the last month or so.
Yeah.
So maybe this is something of just a free man Rory, just kind of unburdened with stress and everything. I mean, obviously he's, he tried to get back on the PGA Tour board as well. That was a point of stress for him in his life the last couple of years. That didn't end up going to happen. Maybe moving past that, maybe getting some things in his personal life cleaned up. Maybe this is going to free him up for some golf, and maybe finally we can get somebody to rival how good Scottie Scheffler and how dominant he's been and what he's major championships. And maybe we can get a little battle between those two on Sunday. I think everybody, including the TV execs, would be thrilled if that happened.
Yeah, anyone but Scottie has to be their motto right now, because when Tiger was doing his dominance and
it was cool.
It was like so shocking and so must see. It was it was like when the 93 Bulls were dominating. It was a spectacle. It was the
What's
thing
the
to see.
Though?
I don't know. I think one that, well, he's Scottie's winning, but he's not like destroying.
Tiger was
courses.
a killer. Tiger was Michael Jordan on a golf course, and Scottie is just this piece of dough that like meanders around and hits perfect golf shots.
Yeah, and personality-wise, the Scottie Scheffler story isn't as interesting as Tiger. I don't know. It's nothing he's doing. He's just winning.
He's really good,
and he's just not an entertaining personality. And the way he's winning isn't as exciting as Tiger was. But again, we've never seen anything like that with Tiger, so it's almost unfair to compare him. But getting back to Rory real quick, what do you think about Valhalla in 2014? Was a good match for Rory, and will we see similar conditions that Rory matches up well for this weekend?
Well, we're definitely going to see similar conditions. Back in 2014, first of all, that's when they were playing in August, and anytime you go to the Southeast in August is just sticky and swamp-ass city at that point. Yeah, it was humid. There were thunderstorms. It played soft. Usually the driving accuracy rates, it's usually pretty difficult to hit fairways at PGA Championship setups. The driving accuracy rates were very high that week because once the ball just landed on the ground, it just went splat. Literally, it just stopped in its tracks. So everybody was hitting fairways that week. Flash forward to this week, or to 2024, they made a couple changes in order to try and promote maybe a little firm conditions. They end up swapping out the bentgrass fairways for zoysia, which requires less water and maintenance, so you don't have to water as much as a bentgrass would. Hopefully that would promote firm conditions. However, though, we have boots on the ground. My colleague Matt Gannon said it rained very hard today. They got 2.5 inches of rain last week. There are thunderstorms in the forecast, and it doesn't matter how firm zoysia can play in these conditions, because if you just add a bunch of water to the soil, it's going to play soft. So similar weather conditions, similar course conditions we saw in 2014. There's been a couple changes to the golf course, but overall, though, it really is pretty much the same golf course that these guys pretty much picked apart back in 2014. The only difference is that these guys are just better now. They have better equipment. The ball goes farther. So I would expect probably a lot of similar things that happened back in 2014 you would want to value this year. Probably relatively, at least for PGA Championship standards, easier scoring conditions. Maybe they play with some pin positions to try and, protect the course a little bit. But yeah, I would expect, a guy like Rory, who took the golf course apart through his driving and distance last in 2014, to use a similar strategy for a lot of success. He's been hitting the ball a little better with the irons too. Obviously, he should be a great match this week for Valhalla.
I just sent a picture to Josh because one thing I noticed about the course, I was trolling around the internet. I saw some of Matt's videos where the big highlight is how the really deep rough is pretty far away from the center of the fairway. And also this picture caught my eye. How many people are going to fall their ass into the river? I mean,
yes, Ryan is pulling up a photo of this fairly narrow bridge over a pond here, and John Daly is a man of full carriage, and him waddling across this bridge.
There's no way
I can see him.
No way that
especially if he's sneaking a couple beers, Ryan, that could be trouble.
There is no way that no one is falling into the water. There's too many people. Like that is a narrow bridge. There's no railing. I mean, hopefully we get a camp. Let's just hope that the coverage realizes the gold mine that this situation is going to be. It did seem like it's a
good great golf trivia question, Steve.
What's that?
Has there ever been? I'm sure someone on the PGA at some point has fallen in to water, right? Has there been a one where it was at a major or any?
Well, you have those
ones?
wonky like take your shoes off on the edge on the bank of the water.
Well, as a guy who worked on a clip show for a number of years, there's a bunch of ways you can fall into a pond of water while you're golfing. Do you remember any pro golfers who've fallen into the water? There's got to be some, right?
Yeah, I mean, it happened in last year's PGA up in Oak Hill where it was really rainy conditions, and poor Tom Kim, who's just a lovable, likable young guy, ends up wading into this kind of swampy, muddy area next to the 6th fairway there to hit a ball, and ends up falling in. And he just is completely covered with mud and water at this point. And he didn't realize he was on camera at that point. And when they showed the footage of that, he just burst out laughing. Yeah, you go find that clip. It's actually pretty funny of him just coming out just a complete mess at Oak Hill last year.
I mean, I feel like all the clips I've seen are just like dudes playing a foursome. And some sort of out of shape guy just falls into the
overswing.
water.
I mean, I don't know how I've never fallen in water because I'm pretty stubborn on that.
But I'm thinking more of the patrons to this. I mean, people are going to be there. They're going to be enjoying themselves. They're going to be having a conversation as they cross this bridge. One misstep, bang, you're in the water.
Yeah,
especially with Elijah Craig, the bourbon company is a big sponsor of this year, and obviously being in Louisville, Valhalla, Kentucky, they are. I made this point on our previous show that they kind of rebranded the golf course to make it a celebration of Louisville, and they are just jamming every single Louisville, Kentucky reference down your throat with these holes. So obviously the bourbon's gonna be flowing. You're gonna see a lot of those commercials, and yes, a lot of people drinking.
And of course, bourbon. Yeah, Kentucky known for its the bluegrass, but also a number of other grass they grow up in them hills. I think it could be a little bit of a party here. PGA Championship.
They smoke some of it and they put the rest in a jar.
Yeah, then we're not talking about Steve's ergonomy. I can never pronounce it.
I think you got it.
Okay.
Maybe
agronomy.
Emphasis. Yeah, there
agronomy.
You go. I was making extra emphasis there on the back end. But.
Steve, of course, the question we seem to ask every time we have you on here: how does Scottie Scheffler lose this tournament, or how does he not win? How does someone else win? What is the path for Scottie Scheffler not to win this?
Well, if you're reading the headlines lately, finally, baby Scheffler has arrived.
Yeah.
Arrived May 8th, 2 days before my birthday, by the way. So a good time of year to have a baby. And we're within 6 days. So they interviewed him today. He said he's well rested and not rusty. And that probably means that he probably hasn't even fed the kid or, done one of those 2 a.m. midnight, changings like I had to do, because I don't have millions of dollars and can't hire the help nurse. Right. So, chances are he probably is pretty well rested. I think the bigger concern of mine for Scottie is that he hasn't played in about a month. And the reason why he's been much better lately is because he's gotten that putter fix. We talked about this at the Masters podcast. He made that putter switch. It's really helped him, make more solid putts. It's more stable off the face there. But it's been a month. He says he's been practicing, probably mostly with the ball striking, though he can't really simulate tournament conditions with putting, though. So is that going to be a little rusty? Maybe he's, struggles a little bit, kind of like we did last year. I think probably it's, based on how this golf course is set up and the attributes it favors, it's hard to imagine he won't finish inside the top 10. And, if you want to play minus 200 for that, say LIV, but that's probably how he gets tripped up is, the putter is a little rusty. I don't see it with the ball striking per se. It's probably going to be something like that. And he probably is going to cost him, for the tournament.
It does seem like the constant that I found myself bumping into as I was prepping on what I was going to throw in the old DFS lineup. A lot of people think it's going to be a congested leaderboard. So, which means maybe you don't want to eat the chalk if it's going to be a lot of folks within a couple strokes.
And yeah, I guess great transition point here. I know, I was talking to Cameron Kerr, producer over there on Golf Gambling Podcast. It sounds like you, Matt, Cameron, everyone in the Golf Gambling Podcast ecosphere is on board with the idea that this course is about to get dominated, that the conditions, the Jack Nicklaus setup, which according to your preview, and maybe I'm putting your words in your mouth, but kind of golf for dummies, where you don't have to think, you just have to hit the right shot, wide fairways, go big, like you're not strategizing as much, and there's not as trickiness as you might see in some of these other courses. Is the course going to get dominated this weekend, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, so the PGA, like I mentioned earlier, they can play games with pin positions to try and protect the golf course. I think that's really the only way they're gonna be able to do it. They have grown up the rough a little bit. Like my colleague said, though, the really gnarly stuff is way off the fairway. It's gonna be trampled down as well. That 4-inch bluegrass rough, that's not different than some of the things they see on the PGA Tour anyways. And a lot of these big, strong guys that can hack out of it. They have narrowed some fairways, but overall, though, everything's right on front of you. Especially with the soft conditions, it's going to be much easier to hold fairways, much easier to hold greens as well. And like I mentioned earlier, they just haven't made a ton of changes to the golf course since 2014, and scoring was really good that year. It's not like last year at Oak Hill where they completely redid the golf course and made it more difficult. They lengthened it a couple spots, but the only thing that really did was just account for the added distance that guys hit now. So I would expect probably a winning score, probably in the teens again, probably 15, 16, 17 under. I don't expect another whistling straight situation where it was 20 under. The PGA probably can do a little more to make sure that doesn't happen. But yeah, I probably would expect, like Kramer mentioned, a congested leaderboard, the ability for guys to make a lot of birdies, a lot of redundancy as far as how you get scores, the types of shots you hit. And it's probably going to promote a very good leaderboard as well. Typically, the worse the venue is, the better the leaderboard is, because the cream just rises to the top. And it's probably going to be a pretty thrilling finish on Sunday with a lot of really good names, probably carding, a lot of birdies while they do it. So yes, I probably, once it's, I see this prop, the winning score prop is between, 273.5, 272.5, which is around minus 10.5, minus 11.5. I would bet the under on that prop once I see it.
Well, I don't want to jump ahead to the picks, but I do want to get this out there because some people maybe have forgotten. And who knows? Maybe maybe Michael Block is lining up to see how Rory's X is doing after he seemed to want to have things that Rory had. Said golf would be a lot easier. And how do we fade Michael Block this week? I see that he tees off early on the first day.
Well, I mean, I think a great way to do it would be Underdog. They offer a lot of Michael Block stat projections. Maybe we get to that. But yeah, I think, listen, what happened at Oak Hill last year was a miracle. That's what it was. That should not have allowed a guy like Michael Block, who probably you and I, can probably hit it just as far off the tee as he can. His strengths were with short game and wedge game, and that was a long iron contest and a driving contest. And it was great. It was a lot of fun in the moment, but that was just lightning in a bottle. I think, anybody who feels like he's going to make the cut or, make another run again. Obviously, there has been stories that he set the course record. I would like to probably audit that scorecard in that round to see if, really he was scooping putts or what tee box he's from. But no, I don't think that's going to happen twice in a row. There are ways to fade Michael Block, primarily with Underdog. Maybe we can talk about that.
That's crazy because I doubt they have a ton of the other PGA champions on the or however the pro qualifiers get in on Underdog for you to take some action against their projection. I don't see, this guy had horrible energy. He was talking all that smack. I mean, how is he not going to come in here and get kicked right in the nuts?
Ryan, we did do a work happy hour, and usually part of our work happy hour is we do a group Underdog fantasy entry where we all kind of brainstorm and put one together. I was trying to talk people into John Daly, lower 77 strokes round one. I could not get much of a consensus. And we'll get to some of our Underdog plays, but the ones we included on the happy hour were Xander lower 69 strokes and Brooks lower 69 strokes round one, kind of off the idea of what Steve was saying earlier, that he does think this course is going to be very playable. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more here. Big picture always now in these majors is how will the LIV guys do in this major? Any big picture thoughts on how LIV guys will match up in the PGA Championship, Steve?
I feel like as far as the profile of guy that has gone to LIV, it's typically been some of the better drivers. I feel like there's a lot of power over on LIV, with Bryson and Brooks and Dustin Johnson and John Rahm and even a couple guys like Dean Burmester down the card as well. He's getting a little bit of steam this week. He's a very good driver. Been playing very, very well on LIV, and that recipe for PGA Championships, where distance and really elite driving has been elevated, has been pretty much repetitive for the last couple of years as far as one of the most predictive skill sets on leaderboards. I mean, if you just think about, going back to TPC Harding Park, or, even though Morikawa won, the rest of the leaderboard was just a bunch of bombers. Same thing at Oak Hill last year. It just seems like the type of setup, the PGA is very consistent in how they want to set up golf courses. It tends to favor a longer hitter. So I think there's a lot of guys on LIV that, based on, how well they've been driving the ball just overall in their career, but also this year on that tour too, they're going to find a lot of success this week. I think, it seems like, I think in the golf gambling community, I think people are more amenable to betting LIV guys this week. I tend to agree to that. A lot of my betting card tends to be a little more LIV heavy. I think a lot of their skill sets are going to match very well to Valhalla this week.
Yeah, I saw someone make the joke on social media that this is a LIV golf course.
Oh, so, really?
Yeah, like this would be the kind of place that LIV would show up to and play. I think they were kind of taking a shot at the course. What is the general? Do people feel this is like a course of the caliber of this type of competition?
I mean, it's a good venue from the standpoint of it produces drama. It's a good spectator venue because there's a lot of really good visitors. It's a big amp. There's a lot of holes that create like an amphitheater setting, but there's not a lot of nuance to this golf course. There's not a lot of strategy to it. It seems like, it's definitely inferior to, US Open type golf courses they've been going to, or even some other PGA Championship golf courses. I think the only reason why they're here is because the PGA of America used to own the golf course. They have since sold the golf course to a bunch of Louisville businessmen who then did a bunch of stuff that is frankly kind of embarrassing. And, it's corny as far as what they've been doing to it. But I think this is probably going to be the last time we see Valhalla, unless we get a really good finish. But I don't, based on the move to May and some other golf courses they have in the road, I don't see a reason to come back here, especially if they get if this gets completely overrun with scoring. They probably wouldn't have an appetite to come back to it unless they do really well with the revenue and the fans are great. So, we'll see. But as far as the golf course goes, I don't think it's particularly strong.
What's the score where it's just like, okay, take it off the list? That was too easy. If they go north of 20 under, is that just embarrassing?
If they go north of 20, I probably would say yes.
Now I know what I'm rooting for.
That'd be pretty bad.
I know what I'm rooting for. Let's go, Brooks.
Let's break the course. It is fun to see the course get broken. I mean, Steve, what a world we live in where Tiger Woods is 300-1 to win a major.
Oh boy.
Does he have a shot? The make miss cut was obviously a big bet for the Masters. I mean, come on, you knew he was going to grind it out there for a couple days. wasn't gonna get eliminated early. But what's Tiger Woods? What's the play? We got to talk Tiger here, PGA Championship. What's your pulse on Tiger this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, the calculus is completely different this week. So at the Masters, that is more of a opportunity for Tiger to use his course knowledge to gain an advantage over the field, at least for the first couple days when his legs are still fresh. And then we saw what happened over the weekend. He was limping around. He couldn't do anything. At Valhalla, even though he might have the mindset that he feels like he can win one of these long, narrow, thick, rough driver contests because he has this militaristic mind. And he also is, pretty thick in the upper body too, because he can't do leg day anymore because he shattered in that accident a couple years ago. This is not a golf course for Tiger Woods anymore. While he does have power, everything else in his game has really taken a significant hit. His iron game is really sloppy now. He's really poor around the green. His putting also is really bad too. So while yes, he does have power, this is a golf course where you got to drive it really well and you got to do all the other things pretty well too, because birdies are going to be out there. And if he just is sloppy in all these other areas, I don't see it going very well for Tiger. This is also a big piece of property as well. So a lot of walking for Tiger. There's some uneven lies,
what's the, how do they do the cut here?
So it's top 70 in ties. So there is more of an opportunity to make the cut. But you have to beat more people than you did at the Masters. And he missed the cut in 2014. Granted, he was going through some injury stuff, but he's kind of doing that same thing too. And this is a very strong field, other than the club pros, of guys who are regularly playing PGA Tour events, regularly playing LIV events, regularly playing DP World Tour events. And Tiger has only played, I think, 23 competitive rounds since 2021. The guy just doesn't have reps, and he just the parts of his game that is needed to make an actual cut just aren't there at this type of golf course. He's inferior at this point. So, you're paying a lot of juice to miss the cut, but I don't see him being around this week. If he does make the cut, it's going to be on the number. Let's put it that way.
What do you see what's the make miss cut for Tiger?
So I saw minus 210 to miss the cut.
Wow. He is a dog to make the cut.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy. Right? Again, another narrative.
I mean, he laid out a good case. Why?
I've seen a ton is like, it's a very, they called it a long walk. So it's a long course. And on top of that, it's a long walk. And then on top of that, there's a bunch of hills. And so, yeah, it does seem like if you have some physical limitations, maybe the older guys, maybe is John Daly rocking the cart?
No.
Come on, give him a cart exemption. Come on, Steve.
No, they don't love it. And another thing too is with Tiger is that, unlike at the Augusta, where if you hit it in the rough, it's just, little rough. It's not all that physically demanding. If you hit it in the 4-inch rough, even though it's not as penal as some other places, that's going to do some damage to you when you've had how many back surgeries at this point.
Oh yeah.
It's just not going to go great for him this week.
Hitting out a deep rough after a back thing has got to feel brutal.
Yeah, no, he's in, it's sad to see, it's when a god becomes mortal and slowly dies.
Yeah, it's not fun seeing him like this. I'm glad he made the cut at the Masters.
He's gonna randomly win something still. He's not done.
On the senior tour, maybe.
I don't know, Steve.
Scott, or
Hope.
sorry, Steve.
It's called Hope, Steve.
Steve, does he ever win another major? Are you 100% no on that?
No, I mean no. He's 48 he's 48 years old who almost had his leg amputated 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen at this point, guys.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Jesus Christ, there's no
Steve, real buzzkill saying Tiger's not going to win. All right, hey, we're gonna play DFS Idol. Even though we only have one judge, the other judge is hammered at the Bruins Panthers game.
I did appreciate him wearing the refs are terrorists t-shirt.
Yes,
so nice.
and Boston Capper. It reminds me the Florida Panthers. Ryan, we wondered why their mascot was a rat.
Yeah,
I got a DM on Instagram, and I'm blanking on the guy's name. Apologize, but he had explained that I guess before a playoff game, the Panthers there was a rat in their locker room, and one of the players beat it to death.
We
with
talked
a hockey
about
stick.
this.
Okay, I totally forgot.
That's why they throw rats on the ice.
Yeah, because he killed a rat before a playoff game, and they won 2-0. So now
it's a very strange thing.
Became their mascot.
How people aren't getting sick? They're throwing octopus out there.
Hopefully that's not how Underdog became the dog became their mascot. That would be very unfortunate. Speaking of Underdog, we're gonna give out some Underdog picks we like. We even Ryan went out to the range, was doing a little active golf. So cut a little promo here. Underdog Fantasy. Take a look. YouTube.com/sportsgambling podcast.
I got no audio, Josh.
No audio.
In the first round, better 10.5.
All right, let's start it again here.
Oh, hey. Didn't see you there. Friendly reminder, Underdog Fantasy, take higher Scottie Scheffler half strokes for new customers. Also like Tommy Fleetwood in the first round, better 10.5 finishing position. I think that's 2.75 spicy. All right, back to crushing 300-yard drives.
I'd imagine people have roasted you.
We can edit that.
Ryan, yes. My entire group, my friend group chat from high school is all about correcting my form on that shot. Steve, you're a golf specialist. You watch a lot of golf. That was a pretty decent swing, right?
Sorry. I mean, it came a little bit from the inside there. You're a little underplaying, left the club face a little wide open. That's why you sliced it. But, I mean, it's good body rotation. Looks like you used your legs pretty well. Looks like you got a little bit of power. So, just correct, how unplaying you are coming into the ball, and maybe you can hit it, relatively straight next time.
It has dawned on me. I do take in golf content from time to time, but I now realized why it's genius and so popular. The person watching it is either A, saying, okay, I can learn something from this, or they just want to shit all over your swing. It is fun
to shit on people's swings. Every time I've posted a golf swing, all the comments are just about how shitty the swing is. Our buddy who hosts the Premier League Gambling podcast, Malcolm Bamford, described it as I look like a frog in a blender. And I said, that must have just been one of those cheeky English sayings. But that means you're a good golfer. A frog in a blender. Now I cannot unsee it. I do have these like Irish chicken legs that I could see. I see the frog now. It's hard for me to look at my swing and not see a frog.
Oh, wow. That's tough.
But youtube.com/sportsgambling podcast. Burying the lead.
Amphibious creature.
Yeah. Not meant for the driving range. Of course, if you haven't signed up with Underdog Fantasy, what are you waiting for? They are running the Scottie Scheffler special.
Yes.
You can take higher half strokes. So feeling pretty good about those chances. So if you're a new customer, Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN, and you can get a deposit bonus up to $250. But the question is, what are we going to add? If we're a new customer, what are we going to add, or what are we going to play otherwise? In the video, I mentioned Tommy Fleetwood. I like that spicy play, but I'll let Steve is the expert. Yes. I'll let him guide us. Steve, what are some Underdog Fantasy higher lowers you like?
Well, I mean, one thing they're offering, and I'm not sure if they're actually accounting for the change in the hole, but they're offering what the cumulative strokes will be over the golfer's first 3 holes of the tournament. And they're setting it at about 11 or 11 and a half. So before in 2014, the opening hole was, not all that difficult. It was a shorter par 4. A lot of guys could hit it over the corner, set up a wedge. But they moved the tee box back about 30 yards, and you no longer can cut the corner. And it's now about 175 to a 200-yard shot into the green. It's going to play a lot tougher than what it did in 2014.
Oh, okay.
And number 2 is one of the hardest holes in the golf course. You got the creek running on the left. It's a long approach shot 2. Number 3 is a long par 3. So, I feel like probably the first 3 holes, you might see a bogey or 2. Maybe a guy gets off to a +1 start and then maybe gets settled in and start making, a little birdie. So, you can actually pick higher on some of these strokes and pick on like a John Daly or a Tiger Woods or a Michael Block whose strokes set at 11 and a half. So if you think they're just going to start over par the first 3 holes, that's an avenue to go play.
Oh, this is
okay. So
cooking, just cooking.
Well, let's figure out because right now.
Well, John Daly and Michael Block.
The daily. Do you see the daily? Oh, I do see
it's
daily.
Higher. It's a 0.8. It's so.
So
it's
they did. They're on to us there a little bit, Steve.
So,
with the daily.
So Tigers is spicy 1.1 at least.
Okay, so let's go to Tiger Woods. Holes 1, 2, and 3. Higher is 1.1x spicy. All right, I don't like fading Tiger, but making a great case there. Him to get to 12 seems like very reasonable. Love this. Obviously, a round 1, and that's what's great about Underdog. If you're catching this episode later on,
first 3
in the
holes,
tourney,
let's go.
Yeah, I mean, I was firing on the Masters because like they have, some of the guys that were playing good or bad. Like you can hop in at any point. Maybe you missed. You realize, okay, the first round leader or the guys I have to win the tournament are already cooked. You can still get in on Underdog, which makes it really fun. Yeah. So we got the Tiger one. What else are we putting in here?
What? Not Michael Block?
Michael Block. Okay.
Ever since he happened last year, we had to find a way.
So he seems he's not spicy, and his higher lowers also set at 11.5. So higher there.
Yeah.
What else are we going to toss in there, Ryan? Are you going to toss in your Koepka?
69 lower. Do we want to toss? Oh, we already have it in our I like
happy hour.
I like keeping Steve's keeping it. We could just do Block and Woods. You want to fade Daly? He really was looking rough. I don't like if he went out and didn't finish the round. Dude, is there a chance he doesn't finish the round? I know he's probably been playing.
He's got to get through at least the first 3 holes, right, Steve?
No, he's got enough pride for that. He'll at least finish out 36. Okay. So, but looking at some of these hole scores, though, looking at like a Max Homa, 70 strokes. That's only 1 under par. He's gotten up to a couple of decent starts at some majors recently. He's playing well. This is a golf course that probably fits a lot of things he's good at as far as, good driving, good long iron play, solid putting. So, that's an option. You can go with Colin Morikawa is a fast starter on the PGA Tour. I think his strokes is 69.5, so just 2 under as well. Ooh. So, you could target and the conditions on Thursday coming off some rain on Wednesday, so it'll be soft. There's not a lot of wind. Will the PGA maybe put tougher pin positions? I don't know. I don't know where the pins are right now, but I would probably expect some of these guys that usually get off to fast starts. There's no real adversity to the golf course that would prevent that. Targeting lower on their round scores and some of the better players might be a good play.
So I'm with you. So let's toss in Max Homa, Ryan. Okay. Lower 70 strokes. Do we want Colin Morikawa lower as well? How say you on that one?
You want to just do 3, or you want to keep adding?
All right.
We got 3. Tiger. We got Michael Block. We got
Tiger and Michael Block, fading them early, and then riding Max Homa lower 70. So officially the PGA Championship entry. Tiger Woods 11.5 holes, 1, 2, 3 strokes higher. That's a little spicy. Michael Block 11.5 holes there in the 1, 2, 3. And then last but not least, Max Homa lower 70 strokes. Of course, Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. And if you're concerned with your play, give them a ring. 1-800-GAMBLER. I'm in, Ryan. This is fun, and it's what do we?
I'm gonna give that number a call too.
Yeah,
see what's up.
just to chat.
Yeah, just see what's going on.
Looking at 6.13 for the payout there. Not too bad.
Underdog getting out the abacus, doing some fractions.
All right, let's kick it over to everyone's favorite part, DFS Idol, where we walk through the golfers we like, and Steve grades them with pretty fair scoring system here.
Steve's very fair.
I'm gonna get the buzzer ready for Ryan's picks.
Boston Capper's not here, but what he would have said is that I've won so many times in the row.
Coming off a one-game winning streak.
One game winning streak.
Well,
like
it
one game at a time.
It resets each.
I
season.
can appreciate a one game at a time, but it's been a long time since you haven't been coming off a one game losing streak.
That's one way to look at it. Ryan, my first selection, I'm going with Brooks Koepka.
Oh, you copied me. That's why you wanted to go first. You son of a bitch.
I realized if Scottie Scheffler wins, and I have Scottie Scheffler in my DFS lineup. Admittedly, I'm not sharp enough probably to beat out all the other people that have Scottie Scheffler. So
also, he just had a kid. His wife's like he's dealing with some shit.
My path,
100%.
Yeah, my path to winning, I've realized, is Scottie Scheffler not winning. I think that improves my chances. So give me Brooks Koepka 10,800. Why not Brooks? He's batting 500 in his last 6 PGA championships. That's a pretty good run. Kramer, why do you take Brooks Koepka? And is Brooks Koepka your most expensive golfer this week?
Did you say that he's batting 500 in his last 3?
6.
Okay.
So he's won 3 of the last 6 PGA championships.
The math people get really uppity about. Yeah, I think you have to fade Scottie. He just had a kid. He's gonna play just good enough to make the cut, so he has to stay for the weekend.
Yeah,
but he's not gonna be in contention. Rory, I don't understand this divorce being good. He's got a 3-year-old kid. This is not throwing out some sexy, attractive broad. This is him having to deal with probably a lot of bullshit. And he kind of lost. Like, he also is now beta. He's beta. He's no longer, he's not part of the big boy table that makes decision at the PGA. He's been completely, so you got to cross him off. I almost included John Rahm. See, it feels like he would be a good contrarian play. I don't know if he's gonna be popular, but it doesn't seem like people are talking about him. But I had to go further down the board. I couldn't make it work. So Brooks was my most expensive guy. Always gonna have Brooks. He's on the thumbnail. No surprise.
We're Brooks men. You can call us the Brooks
Steve
brothers.
Loves this
Steve.
play. It's probably popular. That's how much.
Yeah, I think Brooks. Again, I'm no golf DFS guy. I'll let Steve chime in here in a second. But I'd imagine Brooks pretty highly owned. Although I don't know. Maybe Scheffler and McIlroy certainly. McIlroy I think is going to get a ton of steam.
That divorce logic.
Yeah, I mean, divorced guys who are watching golf playing DFS, I feel like they're gonna resonate with Rory there. Steve, how say you?
Imagine the pairing: Scottie Scheffler and Rory. He's divorced with a 3-year-old. Scottie's got the newborn.
Yeah,
nothing to talk about.
Two
here.
ends of the spectrum.
Nothing to talk about.
Steve, how say you on Koepka?
I mean, you're preaching to a friendly audience for Brooks Koepka. I'm a long Brooks Koepka fan. Yes, he will be popular because it's a PGA Championship. He is literally built to contend and win these PGA Championships. As far as he's an elite driver, great long iron player, plays conservative but can get aggressive when needed. That is the recipe to success at PGA Championships, where you can, lose the tournament pretty quickly if you were really messy, but the scoring is available if you can pick your spots right. The problem with Brooks this year has been mostly with the putter. He changed the putter earlier this year. He finally got that going in Singapore, finally got the putter rolling. He ended up winning there. Obviously, you like seeing him in form coming into a major he's had a lot of success at. And with Valhalla, this is as basic and vanilla a PGA Championship setup as you can get. I feel like I've seen this setup countless times at PGA Championship, especially with a place like Bellerive where he's won. Very similar setup what we're going to see this week, even down to the agronomy, the exact same agronomy that he won there. It's going to be the same here too. So, Brooks is a great play, even though he's chalk. you can get contrarian down the board. There are plenty of ways to differentiate yourself down the board if you want to start your lineup with Brooks.
When you talk about the agronomy, you're referring to the bent grass,
the bent grass, and the zoysia, actually.
Fuck.
Well,
50% credit, 50%.
And cash the agronomy overs. The line was set at 4.5 for the episode, and we just sailed past it there.
Nailed
with Steve's answer included 2 agronomy, a double hitter there.
I was proud with
my next
grass.
golfer. I regretted not playing him in the Masters. Hopefully he's not offended, but this man is due. Give me Tommy Fleetwood, $8,700. Steve, you know it. You love him. He tied for 3rd at the Masters. He has recorded 3 top 10 finishes in 9 starts this season, and he's finished top 5 and top 18th in the last 2 PGA championships. And I think in golf world, I think he might kind of be a sneaky play here, because everyone looked back at 2014 where he wasn't the 11th ranked golfer in the world, and he is now. And say, oh, Tommy Fleetwood didn't make the cut the last time they played the PGA Championship here. I'm not going to start him. I think you're going to see some low ownership for the 11th owned golfer in the world at 8,700. This makes it a great play. Steve, Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, I don't mind the play at all. He's been playing very well lately. He had a decent finish at Valhalla. No, this is not a buzzer. Actually, this is all right. Positive right
I'll
here.
I'll take it.
He's done very well in the last 2 PGA championships. I mean, Southern Hills, I would not call this a very good comparable to Valhalla, but last year T18 to Oak Hill, very solid results there. There's similar things at Oak Hill that we're going to see this week at Valhalla as far as premium on distance and driving. And he's been playing pretty good. He's longer off the tee than you think, but he's been driving it really well all year long too. Gains a lot of strokes off the tee. Iron play has been relatively decent this year as well. He's also hits very well off of Zoysia surfaces and scrambles very well off of Zoysia. That is a big plus this week. So and he's not drawing tremendous ownership. I'm seeing around 10%, maybe a little less than that, which for a guy priced, in the the 8,700 right here, that's not bad. So I don't mind Fleetwood. I think his ceiling. I don't think he has a big ceiling, but I think he has a pretty solid floor though. So he'll be a solid contributor for you this week.
He's building a cash lineup. He's trying to beat me, not win the million. That's what's going on here. I'm on to you, motherfucker.
I think
building a cash lineup
sky's
for a
the ceiling for
GPP.
Tommy
Are we
Fleetwood.
doing GPP lineup or are we doing cash?
Well, that's
lineup?
how you always beat me, Ryan.
Oh, stop it.
It's like, are we trying to win the millionaire or you're just trying to beat me?
I eat the chalk. You know my strategy.
Yeah, and that's what you do in you don't eat the chalk to win a GPP tournament.
All right. I'm doing something I never thought I would do.
Yep.
Since the very famous feud between these two men. Don't know if they can coexist on the same team. But boy,
horrible chemistry.
Bryson is in great form. Brooks says that it's past him. Bryson says it's in the past. Bryson's playing good golf. He's done. Who leads the LIV Tour in driving distance? I'm sure Steve. He has this data. It's Bryson DeChambeau. Remember when he said he was going to break the Masters and then he didn't break the Masters, but then like more recently, a couple weeks ago, he did all right at the Masters. He's been doing all right in the LIV. He's 9,600. Had to put him in the lineup. It fit perfectly. I didn't leave $1 on the table. Again, I believe that my 2 alpha dogs can coexist on the same DFS roster. I still think Bryson's a little bit of a bitch, but he's playing really good golf right now. Steve?
Well, I mean, he's not playing great golf right now. When he went over to Australia and Singapore, it didn't really go well for him. Now, with that said, neither golf course they played in Adelaide and Singapore really fit Bryson. He couldn't really unleash the driver there. So I'm not tremendously concerned with what happened there. Overall, his body work on LIV has been very positive. You just point out the fact that he's been driving it awesome. The iron play has been really good. And, listen, it was very encouraging for him to go to Augusta National, place where he struggled. and play pretty well there. So I think the health of his game is pretty good. He's in much better health right now. He's not as big and bloated as what he used to be. Much better shape, and I think it's helped him on the course. And he's been really good in PGA Championship setups as well. He almost won at Harding Park. He was in the mix at Kiowa before he had a Sunday meltdown, but he played very well at Oak Hill last year. So obviously, I feel like if you drive the ball very well at Valhalla, you're going to be right in position right there. Slight concern, he hasn't been all that great on Zoysia, but it's a small sample size. Shit. So he is popular. As far as I like the play, as far as the prototype of what I'm looking for here, there are a couple concerns, but I don't mind it.
I'm such a donkey. I didn't cross check it with my agronomy knowledge. God damn it. All right, give myself a B+.
It's Dominic the donkey.
So he's not a donkey. In fact, he's been making a name for himself over on the LIV Tour. Englishman coming off a season best, top 5 finish, the LIV Golf Singapore event. Finished top 9th. The time got in the 9th place at the Masters. I don't know if you've heard of it, Ryan. Best finish at Augusta National, 6th consecutive finish of top 34 or better. And he ranks 18th in total strokes gained when we compare the field histories on Nicklaus designed courses. I'm talking about the one, the only Tyrrell Hatton for $8,200. Steve, how say you on Tyrrell Hatton?
Well, he is playing much better on LIV lately. I would say he was playing probably okay golf to start, and he's had some pretty good finishes over on LIV relatively recently. Not terrible ownership. I'm talking about, I'm looking about, between 10 and 15%. So, for low 8,000, it's a little high, but I think what I'm concerned about with Tyrrell Hatton is it seems like over on LIV, he's doing most of his damage around the green and putting. And those have been, some of the golfers we played lately, that's been a little more favorable to that style of golf. So he's not driving the ball all that great over there. He's not hitting a lot of fairways. He's not hitting a lot of greens either. So I think that's a big concern for this week. And I don't love him this week. So, I like the other Englishman you picked a little better.
USA. I stuck to players from North America.
Well, personally, good for you, Ryan.
Personally, I big fan of the United States and Canada. My turn.
Yep.
It feels like you felt like you were going to start stronger.
I'm reeling.
But it's not going well for you. Don't worry. You gotta just spit into the bucket. And we're gonna hit the sponge on your back.
I mean, do we swap him, Steve, for Sam Burns?
You're already
or
making
Shane
swaps.
Lowry?
You could swap him for Tagala right there.
Ooh, so you like
similar
Tagala
ownership,
better?
and
he's big hitter.
It's similar ownership, and I like his profile a little better for this place.
Sahith Tagala, you're up. All right, he's in.
Like that
Thank
swap.
you, Steve.
You already phoned
I was
a friend?
considering Tagala, but he had struggled a little bit. He's real hot and cold, but I guess that's what you want. I am trying to build a GPP lineup.
Bullshit coming out of your ears.
Yeah, I think Tagala too is more volatile and maybe it's a little higher ceiling than Hatton does this week.
Kramer, what do you got?
I mean, not just an unbelievable. It's not cheating if you're not trying.
No.
What if I told you this 27-year-old has 5 top 10s since the start of 2022 in the majors? Good start to this season, has made the cut in every start. We like that for the old DFS. Also has 5 top 10 finishes this season. He's one of the Cams, Mr. Cameron Young for 9,000. Again, hails from the great country of the United States of America. Steve, Cam Young, you into it?
Well, I mean, this is a very polarizing pick for the Golf Gambling Podcast. Our crack producer, Cameron Kerr, expert on all Camerons, by the way, constantly fades Cam Young in head-to-heads allegedly great profit. I'll just take his word on that. I'm not sure how exactly that plays out, considering he does have a lot of high finishes this year. So it must be Just
Yeah,
luck of the
right.
draw based on who he's paired against. But look, I mean, if you're looking for guys who drive it really well, hit their long irons very well, that's going to be very important this week. That's Cam Young's game. I am worried about the fact, though, that he's so bad around the green that when he does have a little bit of an off day with the ball striking, it just really, really comes cratering down. I mean, he's also inconsistent with the putter. So I'm more of a fan of Cam Young than my co-host and my producer is. But even I'll admit that the guy definitely can give you the shiv every now and then. He's really an all or nothing play. So in a GPP setting,
perfect.
considering his ceiling,
I don't know.
I don't mind it.
Know.
So, but he's got the tools to do very well at Valhalla, obviously because of the length and how good of a long iron player he is.
I got guys with some serious length on my squad, Sean. Americans.
Cox.
All right, Ryan. I don't know. That one was give you partial credit.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm feeling pretty good right now.
All right, this next gentleman.
I'm listening.
He's getting strokes off the tee in 5 straight tournaments, back-to-back top 4 finishes. He has gained more than 10 strokes combined putting over his last 2 tournaments. Talking about Byung-Hun An, and he is $7,800. How do you feel about B-An, as they call him?
Well, I mean, as far as a profile player you want to look for this week, I mean, Ben An definitely fits the bill. Elite driver, hits it a long way. The iron play has been really good. He hasn't had a ton of major success, but he did have a good finish at the Masters. Got a couple top 30 finishes. Obviously doing well at a tough Quail Hollow last week. That's a PGA Championship venue in itself. So good warm up for this week. Maybe you can translate to some success. But I'm not alone in this love. A lot of people like Bet On this week. Fortunately for you, you got Fleetwood and Tagala in that lineup. So at least with Fleetwood, that's some low ownership there. But you are eating a little bit of chalk with Bet On here. I like it, but you're not alone having him in your lineup this week.
You cash game motherfucker.
No, he just said I got the Gall and Fleetwood is keeping me different.
I heard him. I can still say what I said. All right, you ready for another American?
Oh yes,
American born. He's got some length, and he's also got some grit. Remember that time he broke his ankle and still played golf through it? Mr. Tony Finau. He's got 6 top 25 finishes this year. He fit beautifully. He was the last man I fit onto the roster. Only missed 1 cut this season. And when you look at the way he's hitting the ball right now, 12th in shots gained tee to green and 10th in total driving. So I would say that Steve is probably going to say this is a good profile for the golf course. Hopefully, Tony Finau, Steve, he's 8,300. Do you like it?
I don't mind this. He's under the radar this week. I'm also a Tony Finau apologist. So, take that with a grain of salt. But so look, so Finau has been, I would probably say, pretty bad overall this year. He's got that second place finish to Houston, but it was mostly because he had, I think, 1 really good round. Other than that, though, it's been really uninspiring play, and it's all with the putter. He is an absolutely atrocious putter, but he's been driving it a lot better. The iron play is back to really good levels for him, and the PGA Championship releases how you separate yourself in the tournament from everybody else. Historically, putting has been de-emphasized. You can't putt your way to success of the PGA Championship. It's really through consistent ball striking, and while maybe he doesn't have a very high ceiling, he does have major success. He knows how to get it done. He's been hitting the ball pretty good, and he's got low ownership this week. So I'm okay with this for a DFS play. I think that's a solid pick.
I'm surviving the middle of the roster because I know I'm going to close with a bang here. I got 2 gems coming up.
All right, here we go. I gave you Ben Hung An.
Let's see. I got my bingo card over here. I already got Englishman marked. I got South Korean marked. Yep.
Tommy Fleetwood. I'm playing the hits.
I got Brooks Koepka marked. I'm wondering who is there going to be a John Daly sighting later?
No, this guy was kind of unlikely. If you look at the top 10 in strokes gained the last 3 months in the PGA Tour, you might be surprised to find this gentleman's name there. He's also sitting 12th in shots gained. He's a Georgia native, so probably familiar with the Kentucky grass there. Hits plenty of fairways, which obviously you need to do. Top 40 in shots gained, tee to green, and shots gained putting. Entering the week off a top 10 finish at Wells Fargo and the RBC Heritage.
Ooh.
Does Steve know who I'm saying?
Of course he does.
He probably
Sepp Straka, right?
No, close.
Oh,
okay.
I was gonna say he knew.
I mean, I also could have got some of these facts wrong, so I'm copying and pasting other people's articles.
Please be wrong.
I am talking about a man who's $7,300, Russell Henley.
Oh,
Steve, what do you think about Russell Henley?
Oh, look at that laugh.
That is a laugh of wow. This is the smartest golf player.
This
I've
went
ever
horribly wrong.
You know, I'm not quite sure about that one. I would have been a lot more excited about Sepp Straka. I just don't feel like a guy like Russell Henley is really suited for long, like not necessarily narrow, but thick, rough Valhalla this week. You know, tends to be more of a Bermuda guy, shorter Bermuda guy. Now, granted, he does have a good finish at Torrey Pines way back in the day, but you know, the profile of player, he's gonna have to drive the ball exceptionally well, hit a lot of fairways, kind of do a Morikawa impression in Harding Park. I mean, I'm not talking this high of a ceiling, but it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough sledding for him.
Swap in Straka.
I probably would. I think Straka has a lot of things going for him as far as really good driving, great long iron play, good on Zoysia. So
breaking news: Sepp Straka's in.
I prefer Sepp Straka.
All right, I'm not changing my last one though.
You phoned two friends.
Yeah, come on. This is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I asked the audience and I phoned a friend. Now, granted,
what do you mean?
Audience and my friend is the same guy, but that doesn't mean I can't use those lifelines, right?
Okay, that's fair.
What do you got?
If you're doing the math, I'm down to 12,300, so I gotta save a couple dollars here. Maybe save all the dollars. So you gotta go bargain shopping. I was thinking about that rope ladder behind me that CJ brought in, the one that's like completely. The bird ladders are one thing, but when he brought that Tarzan ladder,
that was a great one.
I think this guy's gonna I think Steve's gonna tell me this is gonna be a popular play because of how cheap he is. He's played the PGA Championship 4 times. He's never missed the cut. He's in good form. Also coming off a top 10 at the Wells Fargo. He's made 6 cuts in a row. Denny McCarthy.
Oh, he's
not related to Jenny, I don't think. 6,300.
I mean, this is the chalkiest cheap play out there. What
do you mean?
It's gonna have like 100% ownership, right?
I got maybe.
You know, so with Denny, he has a lot of similar issues of what Russell Henley does. Mostly not a great ball striker. But he tends to do pretty well in difficult course conditions, mostly because he can get up and down anywhere. So if this was a situation where guys were missing a lot of greens, have to get up and down, he has found success in those type of environments. I don't feel like that is going to be the case this week. I feel like if you are not striking the ball very well, if you don't have adequate length, that might put you really behind the 8-ball bit. So McCarthy, especially considering some of his, $6,300, which he's drawing some high ownership because it's probably mispriced at that point, but not a big fan of the profile of McCarthy at Valhalla this week.
God, that hurts. That hurts to hear. I'm not going to swap though. I'm going to hold strong.
Hold Valhalla.
I'm hodling. I don't mean, yeah.
My last
game stops back. We're diamond hands, baby.
My last play. This gentleman, number 2 in strokes gained on PGA Championship courses, and he's only $6,900. That's all you need to know. Give me Justin Rose for $6,900. Steve, great play here at the price, right?
It's a legacy play.
There you go.
But
do I go Keegan Bradley here?
Well, you just referenced, what was that stat about? Like second most strokes gained at PGAs. That was what, a decade ago at this point.
Right.
Rose has really fallen off at this point. I think father time has definitely come for him. I don't mind Keegan though.
Okay.
He's been hitting the ball a little better. Decent in some PGA Championship setups. He's got a little bit of pop off the tee too, and I don't think he's drawn a ton of ownership either. So
I know
Keegan's
I said I wasn't going to change, but Keegan, I think Steve and I are working this out. So I'm going to go Keegan Bradley officially.
Okay. Keegan's not that's not horrible. I mean, a couple other guys you probably could go with, around him. You could go with Dean Burmester. You could go with Keith Mitchell, although Keith Mitchell's a little popular. You go with Steven Yeager around that price too. There's a couple options probably a little better than old man Justin Rose though.
Explain it like I'm 5. Golf DFS with Sean.
Kramer, what are you doing?
I told you I was going to get a Canadian in there. And so I got a Canadian in there. Taylor Pendrift. He's in fairly good form, outstanding form. Some might say he has a win in his last 4. He's also got a couple top. This is where I say top 11s because I think he finished 11th in the last one. And he's 6,000, which is exactly what I had left. Taylor Pendrift,
Brian, you mentioned
from Canada.
From Canada,
we love our beaver.
Yeah.
Shout out to Canada.
And I saw I don't know who approved the paperwork, but apparently Colby has restarted the CFL gambling podcast. So,
Canada, we love our beaver.
Steve, how do you think about his golfer here?
Yeah, I mean Taylor Pendrith probably a pretty solid pick as far as what he offers at the table. Obviously a lot of length, playing very well, hitting his irons a little better. He scrambles pretty well off of Zoysia as well. I think that's going to help him pretty good this week. I think he's going to be relatively efficient tee to green. A little popular as far as because of the recent success. Yeah. So that probably is something you might want to maybe consider depending on how the rest of your the lineup there. But as far as a profile though, it definitely works. For $6,000. I mean, that's pretty good considering what you're getting out of them.
See, that is a compliment. I feel like my lineup got a good
your
grade.
lineup did the better grades, but Steve and I workshop through some of my plays and feeling pretty good.
Let's make sure we text Capper our screenshots of our lineup so we can keep score for the official record.
We will. All right, let's close it out, Ryan, with our best bets for the PGA Championship. Of course, make sure you check out the Golf Gambling Podcast for Steve Schirmer, Boston Capper, Matt Gannon, their best bets. Steve, I know you're going to be giving out a lot on your betting podcast, but what do you toss us a bone here? I know you like that prop of the lowest score of the winner, but anything else you want to toss out here before we give out our winners?
Yeah, I mean, you could probably. There's another prop I bet. You can bet how many LIV players are going to make the cut. You got to pay a little juice on it, -135, but I like under 10.5 LIV players to make the cut. There just is a lot of dead weight on these players. So there's 16 LIV guys in the field. You can probably already cross off Andy Ogletree, Keimer, David Puig, unfortunately Phil Mickelson. So there's 4 right there, and we only need 2 more. At this point, there's going to be some clunkers, some guys that just unexpectedly don't do well. There's a couple guys I don't really like on LIV who I don't think are good quarterbacks, like Cam Smith or a Hatton or a Taylor Gooch. So Patrick Reed even. So I think that less than 10, I say 10 or less guys on LIV will make the cut. But of the ones that do, expect them probably to be in the mix come Sunday.
All right, Kramer, for me.
Yes.
This is what I'm betting. I'll start off with my lock.
Are you being responsible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy here. I mean, I liked the props that Steve gave out. I'm going to probably tail those. But official plays for myself. My lock is Brooks Koepka top 10. You can get that at +175. I love it. It's my mega whale play. It's the play that's going to keep me in the positive when some of these other things might not happen, like Tommy Fleetwood to win at 50 to 1.
Wow.
Being hung on to win at 5,500. And I have 2 first round leaders. Scottie Scheffler going chalky. You can get Scheffler at 14 to 1. I know he's not known as a guy who starts good, but he still is Scottie Scheffler, 14-1 to be the best guy in a round of golf. I think that's a good price. I know Capper, when we were talking to him, he liked that as a first round leader, early look on the VSiN show. And then of course, Tommy Fleetwood, first round leader, 50-1. Kramer,
you had to go. So PGA Championship, I went back through some of my old notes, and in general, when I spray the board,
yes,
not good.
nope.
Bad strategy. So you know what I'm not. I do like Steve's bet. That's a very smart bet. I will engage in that one. But what I'm doing is I'm taking an NFL sized bet, NFL side bet, and I'm placing it on Brooks Koepka. And I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch Brooks Koepka.
What is he to win? Is that what you're betting?
16-1.
Okay.
So full disclosure, we'll have a
so full $25.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have a full $25 on Brooks Koepka. We're gonna sit down. I'm actually gonna make it a double unit.
What?
Yeah, we're gonna go.
Oh my God.
We'll do
Two-unit mega whale?
4-figure bet on Brooks Koepka to win.
You know
the
what? Yeah, I'll add Brooks to win. Obviously, it's 16-1 because I'm going big on the top 10 and just taking the plus 175. But how do I not also take him to win?
Should I bet the top 5?
What's the top 5?
No, what am I talking about? This strategy was cooked up earlier.
Okay,
I'm doing one bet, one shot, one shot.
bet, one magic bullet. Brooks Koepka.
I do want a long shot for the first round. So I was considering playing Max Homa. He's not super big, but it's big enough to be a fun play.
I'll add in Max Homa. What do you got?
He was in the criteria. Do you have that first round leader in front of you, Steve, by chance?
I don't have those odds. I would probably guess
he's 35 or 40 to win the tournament. So
it would probably be around there for a first round.
Okay.
Leader. Yeah.
I'm seeing Homa. Yeah, 40-1.
There you go.
I'll toss that in there. So I'll add him to my first.
But that's just like a typical golf pizza bet.
All right, that's fun.
Putting a football bet.
Any other bets you want to toss out? And of course, your best bet: subscribing to the Golf Gambling Podcast. Give him a follow on X. Check out Steve in the Discord.
Oh yeah,
a lot of great ways to get down on some golf gambling content. But any other plays you want to toss out here, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I endorse the Brooks top 10. At plus 175 there. Also, it just seems kind of predetermined that Xander just going to do his typical thing, top 10 plus 150. Don't be a stooge like my producer is and bet him outright. He's going to do what he always does, and probably he's going to do the top 10 there. But I mean, I think one other guy we didn't mention him. A guy I like who's going under the radar. I think Jon Rahm's going to have a good tournament. I think the hate on him has kind of gone a little too far. He has been perfectly fine on LIV. He hasn't won, but everything he's been doing is really solid. Drive the ball great. Everything that I've been looking at is really good. And he's going to come to a golf course that tailors his shot shape with a power fade. He's had a lot of success on Nicklaus courses. I think Rahm's going to have a really good tournament. He's dipped in some marks at 20-1. I think to get a premium player like that at 20-1 when he was, close to 10-1 to win the Masters, that's pretty good. So I like him this week.
I almost got him I almost put him in the DFS lineup, Sean. It did seem like he's going to be you know what? I might have to you know what? Let's add that to just in case.
Okay.
Just in case, John. Because I was thinking about it.
He
almost made the DFS line. We got to sprinkle the 20-1.
All right, I don't hate that, but I'll leave it officially.
But that's also just a regular sized golf bet.
Officially off my card. Steve, always appreciate the time. Appreciate you staying up. Make sure you check out the Golf Gambling Podcast wherever you get your golf stuff, and Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. Get in on the Scottie Scheffler special. Hire a half strokes. If you haven't, what are you waiting for? And of course,
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
for the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, second the money green. He's Ryan.
16 grand will be fun.
Kramer. Let it ride.